אסור לאדם להנהיג עצמו בדברי חלקו ובפיתוי, ולא יהיה אחד בפה ואחד בלב. There's a halacha in the Shulchan Aruch that says that a person is not allowed to be echad b'peh v'echad b'lev. What does that mean? You're not allowed to be somebody that talks one way in your mouth, but you really mean something else in your heart. What? It's called ganeva dat. You can't deceive people mentally. You hear? You can't deceive people mentally. When you talk to people, you have to be echad b'peh v'echad b'lev. You have to say what you mean. What does that mean? You have to be inside out the same. If a person fools his friend, right, and convinces him as if he did something good for him, right? You go to your friend and you tell him, hey, you know what I did for you? I did this and this and this, and you know you didn't do anything. Or you go and you say, you know, when I was in this situation, they were talking about you. I said good things about you, but you didn't say anything, right? You're stealing his mind. It's geneva dat, right? The geneva dat. It's a sur because bichlal geneva dat. You're not allowed to fool people into thinking that you did things for them, or you went and you spoke good about them, because what? They're gonna now feel a certain obligation to sort of be good, to repay you back, to do something good for you, when reality is you didn't do anything. Even a goy, it's usher to deceive him. It's usher to deceive a goy even. For example, you have a bottle of Shivas 12 years old, right? And your goyish neighbor comes to your house. You want to show him like you're respecting him, so you're giving him blue label. You take the Shivas, you take this empty blue label you have, you pour the Shivas into the blue label, and you're pouring him like you're giving him blue label, right? So he thinks you're giving him a lot of respect, right? He feels very respected by you. It's usher to do. Why? Because you're deceiving him into thinking that you're giving him something that you're not. Deceiving people mentally is asur and halakha, right? Even if it's a goy, right? Now, he continues on and he says, right? The main isur, the main isur, really where this isur comes into play mainly is when it comes to money. When you're fooling somebody, how? You're not telling him that there's a default in the item that you're selling him. You're selling somebody something, and you want to hide you want to hide the fault, you want to hide the defects in this item. You don't want to say anything. You're selling your car, you know that there's something wrong mechanically somewhere in the car, and he's not going to find out, even if he takes it to the mechanic until 3 months later, right? You're not allowed to do it. Why? You're deceiving him. Why? Yes, even if it's a goy, you're not allowed to deceive. You can't cheat him mentally. You could overprice goyim. There's no by overpricing, but you can't deceive them in an item that you're telling them it's something, but it's really something else. For example, you bought a property, right? And in the property, there used to be a gas station, say 20 years ago. There's a lot of gas leakage inside the oil, whatever, inside the ground. Legally, you can't build anything over there already, not unless you spend tons of money to take it all out, right? So it's very hard to find something like that out. Right? You're not going to find out through a regular record search. So what do? You buy it, you realize you got stuck. Now you're going to go and tell somebody else, yeah, buy this property, it's great, you can build a building over here, good location. You know you're fooling him. Who are you fooling? You can't build anything. Right? You're deceiving people into believing something. Or you want to sell your phone online. Right? Say your phone looks perfect. But once it's defective, once every month or something like that, all the memory gets erased or something. Right? So you're not going to say anything. You're going to go and you're going to go online, you're going to sell it online. You're not going to write the defect of the item. That's the ikr gezer of isur of geneva dat. That you can't deceive people, you can't fool people. Somebody comes to you, you sell diamonds, right? You tell the guy, yeah, this is G, what are the good ones? GSI1? No, not SI. SI is not good, right? Right, F, DEF. You tell him it's a DEF color, VVS, you tell him. It's really the other one, the lower ones. It's really G and SI1.
No, but they have to do their own due diligence.
What?
If anybody finds something, they have to do their due diligence. You're saying
they're relying on you. As an expert, they tell you what color and collaterally diamond is this, right? You're telling them it's a DEF, GSL, GS1, whatever it is, right? So you know that it's not like that, right? So you're deceiving him, right? You're not allowed to do that. You have to be honest with the person. If he asks you, is there blue fluorescence in the diamond? You tell him no. He's taking your word for it as a professional. You know there is, right? You're deceiving him, right? You're not allowed to do that. You can't lie to people. You can't deceive people. You can't hide defects in something that people cannot see. They're relying on you, right? You have these things are a problem in halakha. right? או בדברים שמראה לחברו כאילו עושה עמו וזה טובה שבירה אליו לבדד, או להשיג לו קדש יחזיק לו טובה חינם. Sometimes you might go and you might sort of convince your friend that you did a lot for him. You know, I was inside this meeting and they were debating whether to have a business transaction with you. I was trying to tell them that you're good in business and you're this and that. You know, you didn't say anything. But what you're trying to sort of convince him this, so this way he'll feel a little indebted to you. Right? You want favor from him or something like that. Right? That would remain to be asur. You're not allowed to do that. Yeah? Verstehst? Good. אין למכור אפילו לגוי, או לתת לו בשכרו, בשר נבלה בחזקת ששחותה. He says it's also to sell a goy meat and telling him it's kosher meat if it's not kosher even. If a goy comes to you and he says, Rabbi, I want to buy a kosher piece of meat, you give a not kosher piece of meat. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to deceive people. ואסור לעשות כן אפילו מתנה, אף שאין איסורות תכונן, ויש מתאים לעשות דעות קדושים ללמוד מתנה. אולם האדם יכול להכניס שיש לו בשר וזדון וכל אותו לגוי סתם, ואם הוא חושב שהוא כשר נראו תהיה את עצמו. But a person is allowed to go and just announce, I'm selling meat for very cheap, right? And if somebody comes and he assumes that it's kosher and he buys it from you, a guy comes and he assumes that it's kosher, and it's really not, that's his problem. He didn't ask. You said I'm selling meat for cheap. Whether it's kosher or not, you never discussed it. He went and he bought it. He already we say that he put himself in that own situation because you never said it's one thing or another, right? Right? If you have leather, it's interesting. It says if you have leather, right? Whether it's leather that you want to sell to somebody that uses leather in order to make shoes or tefillin or whatever else it might be, right? So you're not allowed to sell him leather. Tell him what? That this is an animal that we shechted, and the skins are from the animal that we shechted, right? And you know the reason from the animals that you shechted. You know some dead animals, that dead corpses that either died from a sickness, or either died from starvation, or either got killed by another animal, so you took off their skins. What's the difference? Because an animal that you shecht, and it died when it was healthy, the skins are much stronger than an animal just died out of old age or died out of sickness. Right? So you're fooling him. He's thinking that he's getting better quality skins, but it's really not. How is he going to discern? He has the skins in front of him. Right? For us it might not be practical, but there's a $1 million industry like this, a multi-million-dollar industry. They're selling skins, just animal skins, they're shipping it non-stop. Right? Right? What about if a goy made a mistake? Right? This is by goy only, this applies now. Right? Goy made a mistake. You went to a store, you gave a goy $100, you gave a goy $50, and you're supposed to charge you to say $10 or something, and he gave you $90 change. You thought you gave him $100, right? He made a mistake, right? Now, he made a mistake. Api alachai, you're not allowed to tell. You don't have to tell him anything. Why? When a goy makes a mistake on his own, and he's sort of like, it's considered like he fooled himself. It's fine. You don't have to tell him anything. If you know, I give it back also. I give it back also, right? So this halakha is limited. You only don't have to give it back if he bechlal won't know about it or doesn't know about it. But if you know there's a chance that he might find out and say, oh, this Jew, that's Ichil Hashem, then it's asur, right? But if a goy or avedato, you found something that belonged to a goy, right? You found a goy lost something. You don't have to return it. There's no mitzvah of returning a lost object to a goy. Only by a Jew. Only if something belongs to a Yid, your brother, you're obligated to return it. You're not allowed to keep it. I find a Rolex watch outside somewhere, right? It's dropped somewhere outside, right? And I see it. I have an obligation to go now and put signs and everywhere and announce I found a particular watch. You can't detail the watch because you have to make sure the owner knows about the watch himself. Right? So he comes and he tells you, the guy comes and he tells you what it is and you have to give it back to him. But if you found it in a non-Jew, if you found it in a Goyish neighborhood, where everyone there is Goyim, and you find something on the floor, you don't have to return it, you don't have to announce it, you don't have to do anything. Right? You don't have to do anything whatsoever. There's no mitzvah. You find a wallet on the floor, and I have no mitzvah whatsoever to return it. And it might be even also to return it if there's no Kiddush Hashem. Right? Or hafka'at halva'ato. Right? If a person borrowed money from a goy, and the goy came to the goy, doesn't remember or not whether you paid him, so he completely forgot, which I don't know how reality how it works, but he completely forgot. You're not obligated to pay him. You're not obligated to remind him. A Yid, you're obligated to pay. You're obligated to remind him, right? You can't take his money, but a goy, you're not obligated, right? If he forgets about the loan, whatever it might be, you're not obligated to pay him, right? But this is all talking about if he's not going to find out. Right? If he's going to find out, there's going to be Chil Hashem is the problem. Right? So you see, the only way you're allowed to return something that you found that belonged to a goy, or if a goy made a mistake, right? You ordered, you went online, you know it's a goy. I'm talking about it's a goy, right? A goy made a mistake. You ordered something online, let's say, right? You ordered something from. You ordered one thing online and they send you 10 for the price of one. And it's a goy. It's his mistake, not yours. You don't have to return it. If you return it because you're going to tell him you're a Yid and you want to make a Kiddush Hashem and so on, and he's going to say, wow, Jewish people are very honest, okay, it's good. But if you know that you're going to return it because you feel bad, right? Or, right, you feel bad or you want to show off or something like that, right? Then that's a sur. You're not allowed. Not allowed. You're only allowed to return it if it's a Kiddush Hashem. Otherwise, it's an avirat to do hashavat avidat to a goy. Understand? To steal, you're never allowed from anybody. It's a sudo raita. But we're talking about he himself made a mistake. You're not obligated to report the mistake to him. If a goy comes to your store, right, and he brings you a Cartier watch, or he brings you a diamond, and he doesn't know it's real, he thinks that it's something cheap, right, and he tells you how much you give me for this, right? He doesn't know it's real. He thinks probably he doesn't know. You tell him, I give you $500 for it, right? Take it from him, right? You're allowed to, right? By a Jew, you have to notify him. This is a real watch. It costs such and such amount of money. It's on an eye. It's on an eye. If you see that he's unaware, you're not allowed to fool him. Right? A goy, if you see he's unaware, you don't have to tell him anything. Now take it from him, right? If he thinks it's not real and he sells it to you under those assumptions, it's his mistake. It's his problem. By a Jew, you have a problem, right? You have to tell him, listen, this is worth really more. It's a real watch, isn't it? You can't fool them. It's on an eye. You can't fool them. A Yid, you're not allowed. A Yid, you're not allowed to fool him, right? If he's not aware of something, you have to make him aware of it. You can't fool him. He's your brother at the end of the day. You have to care for him. If he comes and he brings you something and he's not aware of how much it's worth, right? He doesn't know if it's real or not. You can't take advantage of him. If you know that it's worth more and you see that he's not aware of it, you have to tell him.
What if he's not showing up?
To what extent?
Like nothing at all. What if he's like a reform? Because I had a case like that. I had a reform client. He wanted to sell something and I bought it. But I didn't tell him how much it's worth. I gave him much less. But like a reform kids married goyim like that,
I think over there would be a little bit better.
A little bit lenient, right?
Yeah. יש שם שזה אין אלה שכדאתו, אבל להטותו אסור לשום שתלו גדם וגנבת דעתו שאסור, right? ישראל שמונחים את אותו כלים או של גוי בתורת משכון, נחלקו פוסקים מותר לשמש בהם, יש עושים איתם גנבת דעתו. What about if a goy came to you and he left in your house a collateral, right? Say you lend money to a goy and he gives you a collateral. By a Jew, you're not allowed to use the collateral, right? If a Yid leaves the collateral by you, you're not allowed to leave it. It's asur, it's gereva, right? You must ask him. By a goy, this is machloket whether or not you're allowed to use this collateral, right? Is it considered geneva? Is it not considered geneva? There's a little bit more leniency to play around, but even then you have to be careful, right? This is not a goy, it's not hefker. You can't do whatever you want, right? Stealing from a goy is asur d'oraisa. To steal from a goy is asur. These are talking about things that are a little bit different. Goy shizra מאוד כדי לחלקם לעניים מותר לחלקם לעני גויים, right? אף על פי שהוא מעדיף, right? אבל אם תרמו מאוד ומצווה רבה, אם חלו יקום, אז זה גונב דעתו, יסתה בין שדון שווים לשווה גויים. אוקיי, טוב. מי שאינו רוצה להוציא שם שמיים לטובת עקום, שיש שם נשותה לאכל או לא, right? שלמה למר, לכוון בזה שהוא שלום לרבו. אבל אסור לחרפו, והוא סובל לשומר לטובה. You hear this? You don't want to say shalom to a goy. Why? Because shalom is Hashem's name. They're going to say shalom to a goy, using Hashem's name on a goy, right? It's not something that you should be doing. However, you're allowed to tell him shalma lemar, right? Shalom Rabbeinu, and your intention is your rabbi, right? But better to say boker tov, better to say good morning. However, it's also to curse him, and he's thinking that you're saying shalom to him, right? You come and you say something degrading to a goy in Bukharian, right? Or something like that. He thinks that you're saying good morning to him, right? But really you're telling him, something else that you're not allowed to do, right? You're not allowed to do that. Why? Because that's Genevas Das. He thinks that you're telling him something nice, right? And now he's being nice to you, and that's considered Genevas Das. And Ba'atzem, right? The Sefer Hasidim brings over here, says that it's Mamash Asur. You're not allowed to do that. But I've seen people do that before. I don't know if you've seen it before. I've seen people do that before. You can't do that, right? Right? You come and you're cursing him like this, like you're saying hi to him, one time went to I was in a city once, maybe like 15 years ago, right? I was on when I was in the dating stages. So I really wanted water, so I went to one of those halal stands. You know what I'm talking about? So I wanted to get a bottle of water. There was like 6 people in front of me on the line, and this Arab sees me there. He's like, "Oh, my brother!" Right, like from far he tells me, and he starts cursing me in Arabic. Tells me, "What do you want?" He lets me cut everybody off.
He says cursing in Arabic?
And yeah, and he lets me, and he show he does it in a nice way, like he lets me cut everybody off at the same time. Also, you know, you can't do that to somebody else. What is that?
He did it purposely or not?
Yeah, of course he did it purposely.
But how did you know it was a curse? You understood?
I hear what he's saying. Yeah, he's not saying nice words, right? Not saying nice words. I'm familiar with some of the words he was using. Right? We would not be able to do such a thing like that to Goyim. Right? כיצד בדברים לא יפציר בחברו שיסעוד עמו והוא יודע שאינו סועד. You're not allowed to come to your friend and tell him, listen, come eat in my house. You're inviting him to eat in your house. You know he's not going to eat in your house, right? Tell him, come, eat, come. You know he's not going to eat, that's what you're telling him, but you just want to invite him anyways, you know, but you know he's not going to come, so why keep inviting him, right? That's Genevas Das. You're pretending like you want him to come when really you don't want him to come. You're just saying it so he thinks you want him to come. You're not allowed to do that as well. Right? Also, you're not allowed to send gifts for your friend, knowing that he's not going to take it. Say you know you want to send him a lot of gifts, so you know he's not going to take it. Right? You're just doing it in order for him to think that, oh, you see I'm sending you a gift, so you know he's not going to take it. That's why you're really sending it to him. Right? Really bad. Okay, tough. You get the point. Right? You get the whole, what the idea over here is. Right? Now, the only thing that we said is not permissible is only when you know this guy's not going to come, but you want to make him feel like you want him to come. Really, you don't want him to come either, but you know he's going to say no. So you're always telling him, come, right? But just to tell somebody 1 or 2 times come is okay. It's mishum kavod. Even if you don't want him to come, you're allowed to invite him mishum kavod just like that. Right? In order out of decency, it's okay. Right? Sometimes the other way around. If you don't invite somebody, they might get offended. Okay, this is only talking about if you really don't want him to come. But if you really want him to come, then of course you're allowed to ask him as many times as you want. יש לזה ביותר מקום שיוכל לגרום בו של מקבל, כגון שלא ישנח לחברו חבית של יין אשר שמן צף על פיו ושגמרה מובא מעשה באחד שעושה כן וזמן הלא הולכים על השימח שהיה ברשותו שמן שגול וזכון לסיגול לזן הולכים לכתוב לחמת ובשן. You're not allowed to do something to somebody that might cause them to be embarrassed, right? Might cause them to be embarrassed. The case of the Gemara is that a person sent a barrel of wine to his friend and there was like oil on top, right? So the guy thought this was a barrel of oil. So he invited guests to his house and he thought he had oil and then he realized he didn't have any oil and he was completely embarrassed, right? You can't do anything to people where you put them in situations where they'll be embarrassed. You got to make sure that everything you do with people, you don't put them in situations that might lead them to come to be embarrassed, right, in such a situation, right? You hear this? It says, even in a case scenario where you're selling an item to somebody and you're hiding the blemish of this item, even if you're giving it to him for very cheap, and maybe you should have suspected something, even so it's asur. Right? You should have told him, why did you think I give it to you for so cheap? So I don't know why I give it to you for cheap. Maybe that's it for money. You didn't tell me it's broken. You didn't tell me anything's wrong with it. Right? You didn't tell me it's defective. You can't just assume that people assume things and know things. Therefore, if you're selling your house or anything like that, right? Say a person's selling his house and you know there is, I don't know, a serious crack somewhere in the foundation that you need like a very big specialist to come see, and it could be a serious problem, right? And you don't want to say anything. You know, the guy, even if he gets a regular inspect with these type of people, they're not going to find it, right? Say you found it with some special, you know, you need to like really get in there. And when people buy a house, normal processes don't find something like this out, you have to tell him. You can't tell it to him under such defects without telling him, right? Very applicable laws. This is very applicable laws, right? As a sofer, I can't sell somebody a tefillin and tell him one thing, it's really something else. He would never know. How's he going to know? Right? I'm going to tell him, listen, this cloth is handmade. Does he know what's handmade, machine made? It's really machine made, let's say. Right? He doesn't, you can't deceive people. Right? If somebody comes to you and he tells you, I want the best of something. Right? So the best is you have to be straightforward. That's his point. Right? Just be honest and straightforward with people. A person shouldn't go to a house of an avel, right? ובידו כלי ריקם מסתובב האבל שמונה מאכל מונה שמטהו. Right? I don't know exactly how this would apply. Right? It says the person would go to a house of Avel and he would have an empty vessel with him, and the Avel thinks that he brought him food, but he didn't really bring anything. He just wants to show like he brought something, right? And he thinks he probably left it somewhere over there, right? But he didn't really bring anything. You're not allowed to do that, right? You're fooling him. He's deceived. He thinks that you actually brought something. You didn't really bring anything. אבל אם היו שם אנשים רבים וזה מתכוון להחשיב את האבל ביניהם שבנו כמה חשבו וכך פותר מחדים נתנה לסוין. טוב, אסור להעלות לאורח שהוא פותח חברו חבית חדשה שעניין חזק לכבודו, כאשר מאמן יכול למכור את היין מיד בלא הפסד, שיצא אורח ומזיק לו טובה מחינם לזכר לידו שלא פתחה בשינו. Right? It says over here, it's also to show a guest that you're opening like a new bottle for him. Right? Say for example, you're one second. Here it's talking about somebody that sells wine, and he has barrels of wine. So he opens up a new barrel of wine as if he's doing it for your kavod, but he's not really doing it for you. He's doing it. He's going to open it anyways today. He's going to sell it, so he's pretending like he's doing it for you, right? For example, if you know that you have your brother coming to you for Shabbat day, right? And you have like a very expensive bottle. You know you're opening it for your brother, but now you have the guest over here. Right? You have a guest by you Friday night. For him, you would never open this bottle. You're just opening it now for your brother tomorrow. But you know this guest doesn't drink a lot. So you'll open it now, you have a shot with him. Otherwise, you really want to drink it with your brother tomorrow. Tell him, oh, you open it to him. Tell him, special guest, special bottle open for you. Right? He thinks you're opening it for him. Right? You're not allowed to do that. You're deceiving him. You're making him feel good. Next time you're going to go to his house, what is he going to do? He's going to say, special guest, special bottle, because he thinks you did it to him, but you didn't do it for him. And therefore, it would be asur. You going?
Yeah, I gotta go.
I'll see you. Okay, I guess we'll stop over here. These problems.